place. But what stuck out is what happened during the game. So what happened during the game, there was a group of fans, young fans, that went to the game with these signs. Now, it started being reported that these set group of fans was told to not only put their signs away, but there was people actually spitting on Fever fans, being very disrespectful. Guys, this was a very toxic environment if you was an Indiana Fever fan.
A Seattle fan who was previously jeered at and pressured into putting away her signage has now come forward with a detailed account in an exclusive sit-down interview. Coverage of this story began tracking almost immediately following the Seattle matchup the previous night. The Indiana Fever faced off against the Seattle Storm in Seattle, and ahead of the contest, a gathering of WNBA supporters, best described broadly as league fans and backers of Sophie Cunningham, rather than fans tied to either specific team, had organized a planned demonstration.
And quite frankly, I have to blame the WNBA for letting this happen. People should want to go. People should not have to endure, let's just say, bodily fluid being spit on them. They should not have to be getting booed. They should not have to be getting cursed out for showing their support to a team that has been spectacular on the court this season when they're playing well. Now, with that being said, let's dive.
That gathering did occur as planned, but the more notable events unfolded once the game itself got underway. A cluster of younger attendees brought signs into the arena, and reports soon emerged that this group wasn't merely asked to put their signs down. Some also reported being spat on and treated with open hostility by other attendees. The atmosphere inside the venue reportedly turned hostile for anyone supporting the visiting team, with much of the blame directed at the league for allowing such conditions to occur. Observers argue that no fan should have to tolerate being spat on, jeered at, or verbally abused simply for cheering on a team that has performed well this season.
Right into this story and see how we got here, man, because this was a very, very serious situation, man. So this is the interview that has been released. Shout out to Brandi Cross. I don't know what exactly network she worked for, but we'll pull it up here in a minute. I don't know if she's independent or what, but I know she has a bunch of followers.
The interview that surfaced was conducted by Brandi Cross, a figure with a large social media following whose exact professional affiliation, if any, remains unclear. According to Cross, Seattle Storm co-owner Celeste Keaton reportedly cursed at two teenage girls over a shirt referencing athlete inclusion, using profanity, and reducing one of the girls to tears, and when the situation escalated toward involving security, the girls were reportedly told to instead email the team's front office.
It up here in a minute. I don't know if she's independent or what, but I know she has a bunch of followers on Twitter.
Well, we were just sitting there Thursday.
Now, Brandi stated last night Seattle Storm co-owner Celeste Keaton cursed out two teen girls for wearing an XXXY athlete shirt, calling them effing insane. One of them was left in tears and tried to get security involved, was told I should email the front office. This is very, very damaging. Let's watch it.
Well, we were just sitting there with their signs that said,
In their own words, the girls described simply sitting with signs expressing support and appreciation for Sophie Cunningham while watching the game and cheering for both sides, behaving respectfully and without incident. An older woman approached them, initially seeming friendly, before asking what they were doing. The woman reportedly then invoked religious language, telling them that a higher power loves everyone and that she hoped they would be forgiven for their actions, before directing profanity at them and demanding they stop what they were doing.
Damaging. Let's watch it.
Well, we were just sitting there with their signs that said, we love Sophie, thank you, Sophie, for speaking up. And so we were holding on, just watching the game. Again, we were being super great. We hadn't said anything to anyone else. We were being super respectful. We were just holding our signs and cheering for both teams. And this older lady comes up to us, and at first I think she's going to be nice, and then she asks, what are you guys doing? Something like that. And then it was Jesus loves everyone. That's what she told us. And I was like, oh, I know. I'm religious. I know. I know. Nice. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I hope Jesus can.
Commentary on the incident notes that invoking religious scripture in that context suggesting biblical justification for excluding people based on relationships between individuals of the same sex, reflects a distorted and troubling mindset, particularly coming from someone in a position of authority within the league. The commentary emphasizes that Scripture contains no such explicit condemnation, and that regardless of personal belief, using faith as a weapon in this manner is misguided.
Like, I'm religious, like, I know, like, I know. Nice. Yeah, and she's like, oh, I hope Jesus can forgive you for what sin you've done, and like something like that. And then she told us that we were effing insane, and that we
and she's like, and she went like insane.
Yeah,
She's like, you better stop this
and stop pulling
shit.
This. Yeah,
and
for you guys
I
to
hope
come
God
here
can
and
save
pull
you.
This. Yeah.
Now, this is an owner telling these young ladies, I hope God could save you. There's nowhere in the Bible where it states two same-sex biologically born.
The girls confirmed the woman used explicit profanity and that no one nearby intervened on their behalf. One of the girls acknowledged being reduced to tears during the confrontation, noting that while online criticism doesn't typically affect her, being screamed at and cursed out in person, especially after expecting a friendly exchange, caught her completely off guard.
Bible, where it states two same-sex biologically born the same way people can be romantically involved. For her to try to influx Jesus into this, try to give it somewhat of a Christian value is insane. Very insane. It shows you the delusion of a lot of these people running this league. There's nowhere in the Bible, let me know, where it says that two people of the same sexual orientation could be together.
After the woman walked away, the girls assumed the situation was over, but another attendee approached them, telling them they were entitled to their opinions, but needed to avoid political statements. One of the girls explained she wasn't trying to make a political statement at all, only expressing support for Sophie Cunningham and for the opposing team generally.
Two people of the same sexual orientation could be together, and it's justified. Now, granted, Jesus did die for everybody's sins. I'm not going to get on here to preach, but I don't think Jesus will be supporting this earth that we live on today. Let's just all keep it
for
real.
you to come here and pull this shit.
Yeah.
She said the word.
Yeah.
Did she say effing insane or the fucking
No,
insane?
she said the word. Yeah.
And nobody around you spoke up for you.
No.
I will say, Annalie, when I came over, you were in tears.
Yeah, I've never been yelled at like that. I mean, I've had people hate on me on the internet, but like it doesn't really.
The girls noted they hadn't interacted with anyone else beyond basic courtesy before someone asked if they knew who had confronted them. When they said no, they were later informed via text that the woman was in fact a team owner, a revelation they described as shocking and deeply disappointing, particularly given that the confrontation involved an adult woman berating two 16-year-olds.
Whatever you can to find a way of bringing in a third team, a second team. My hope is there's no real way the Indiana Fever can go straight up in a trade, because if you're looking, they're basically, the salary cap is essentially at the limit. It's at the limit. I think you can go and you can give up, say, put Cam Brink in the trade. Because her cap hits 500 next year.
Asked whether they felt welcome despite signage elsewhere in the venue promoting messages against hatred, the girls said they felt on edge throughout the game, uncertain whether to keep their signs up, while the woman sat directly across from them, and nearby attendees turned away and distanced themselves. One of the girls mentioned not noticing anti-hate signage nearby until after being told that the athlete in question wasn't genuinely advocating for other players, a claim she found questionable given the context.
Here, and I think it's like, if you put Cam Brink in the trade and then you give up Lexi, a first, and I don't even know what else you give it. You give up Lexi, you give up a first, and maybe a I'm trying to think what way matching contracts, and then you might have to give up. You might have to take on a player in.
Asked to reflect on the broader significance, given that this was ostensibly a showcase event for women's athletics, one of the girls responded that perhaps the lesson was that people should focus more on treating others with kindness, even amid differing opinions, emphasizing that she and her friend had remained respectful and courteous throughout, regardless of how their views were received, though it was clear the woman involved was far from pleased. Commentary following the interview strongly urges the girls' families to pursue legal action against the Storm organization, arguing that between this confrontation and a separate incident at the same game involving a fan spitting directly on an Indiana Fever supporter, the organization faces exposure to multiple potential lawsuits. The spitting incident is described as particularly outrageous, with footage capturing the moment drawing widespread reaction and speculation that the individual involved could face both viral infamy and possible criminal consequences.
A player in... Fuck, you might have take on Erica Wheeler's contract and swap out Ty Harris. Take on Erica Wheeler's contract for 2 years and give up Ty Harris in that scenario. I think the cap works in that scenario. And I'm like, I still do that if I'm Indiana. And obviously Indiana give up a first. I still do that if I'm Indiana. I do feel like Cam Brink's value at this point in time is about a first. Like, I think Erica Wheeler's
This is a trade scenario worth examining closely. Cameron Brink is set to come off her rookie contract in 2 years, and by that point, both Hamby and Nneka will be locked into maximum salary deals that would be difficult to move. That combination could make retaining Brink financially unrealistic. Additionally, since she'll soon be entering restricted free agency, her trade value heading into next year is currently considered relatively low. That said, dominant post players remain scarce across the league, and Brink brings a rare and unusual skill set to the position. Given that, a front office like Indiana's would arguably need to explore every possible avenue, including involving a third or even fourth team, to make a deal happen.
Erica Wheeler's a negative contract, and I think you can trade Erica Wheeler's bad contract for Lexi Hull's bad contract. I still think this is something that the Fever, should go out of their way to try get, because Aaliyah needs somebody beside her that can either stretch out the floor, or roll hard or run. Cam Brink stretches the floor. Cam Brink can kind of play in the pick and roll.
There's likely no straightforward one-for-one trade Indiana could pull off given how tight their salary cap situation already is. They're operating close to the ceiling. One possible framework involves offering Lexi Hull a future first-round pick and additional matching salary, since Brink's cap number rises to $500,000 next season. To make the money align, Indiana might also need to absorb Erica Wheeler's contract for 2 years while sending out Ty Harris in return. Under that structure, the numbers could realistically work.
Stretches the floor. Cam Brink can kind of play in the pick and roll. And Cam Brink would shore up the Indiana Fever's defense, even with the foul trouble. The Indiana Fever would then probably have to reroute Mo Billings somewhere else and maybe take on another bad contract with Mo Billings. Maybe they have to go and get off Mo, and if they want to bring in a wing. But for me, I just keep it as is. I move Cam Brink into the starting lineup. I would just keep Mo Billings.
From Indiana's perspective, that trade still seems worth making, even while surrendering a strong first-round pick, because Brink's value at this stage of her career is meaningful. Wheeler's contract is generally viewed as an unfavorable one, and pairing her salary with Hull's less desirable deal could be one way to balance the transaction. There's a case that the Fever front office should pursue this kind of move, since Aaliyah Boston needs a front-court partner capable of stretching the floor, rolling to the basket, or running the court effectively. Brink fits several of those needs. She can space the floor, operate in pick-and-roll situations, and would likely strengthen Indiana's interior defense, even accounting for foul trouble concerns.
I would just keep Mo Billings on the bench. And I would move off. I would just say, Bree Hall, you go play. Sophie, go start. Bree Hall, you take Sophie's role. And you've then got a bench, or an end of the bench option of Van Slooten, who you cut Van Slooten. And, you can't cut Van Slooten, can you?
Adding Brink would likely push another current big, such as Mobley, out of the rotation, potentially requiring the Fever to trade or reroute that contract elsewhere, possibly to bring in additional wing depth. One suggested lineup adjustment would be inserting Brink into the starting five, keeping Mobley as a bench option, shifting Bree Hall into a starting wing role, currently held by Sophie Cunningham, and having Cunningham take on Hall's previous role. That would leave a bench spot open, potentially for Van Sloten, though it's noted that Van Sloten currently can't be waived under roster rules.
Oh, you can't cut Van Sloten. I just realized they fucked it. You can't even bring Bree Hall up because they've got Van Sloten and Dantas. Like, you got to pray Dantas is done for the season then and to call up Bree Hall. You probably have to pray that Van Sloten or that Dantas is injured. So it's now you're looking at, it's like they'd have to reroute somebody somewhere. Whether it's...
Because of that roster constraint involving both Van Sloten and Dantas, calling up Hall may not be immediately possible unless one of those two players is sidelined by injury or ends the season early. That could force Indiana to look elsewhere on the roster to solve a rotation logjam, potentially involving a separate trade, such as sending out Betnijah Laney Hamilton for someone like Maisha Hines-Allen, a swap the New York Liberty might realistically consider in order to add a reserve small forward. Alternatively, Indiana could offer a future second-round pick for Laney Hamilton and insert her directly into the starting lineup. In theory, the Fever have several tools available to address issues at both the front court and wing positions. Whether they'll actually use them is another matter entirely. There's real skepticism that the front office will take meaningful action.
To reroute somebody somewhere. Whether it's Beck Allen for Maisha Hines-Allen, which I think the New York Liberty probably do, to get that backup small forward in. Whether you give up a future second for Betnijah Laney Hamilton and she comes in and starts. Like, the Indiana Fever have the ability to kind of figure out what's wrong with their team. They have the ability to sort out their problem in the front court. They have the ability to sort out their...
Much of the ongoing chatter around Brink stems from the belief that this may be the final window in which she still commands first-round pick value in a trade. That's essentially where her market currently stands. As for suggestions that Indiana could simply trade Raven Johnson straight up for Brink, that overlooks the reality of the salary cap. Those numbers don't align, similar to other proposed trades floating around media circles that don't appear to account for actual cap mechanics. Realistically, any Brink trade likely requires including Hull, absorbing a less desirable contract beyond Wheeler's, and potentially giving up Ty Harris, something Indiana probably wouldn't do, or alternatively, moving on from Johnson, which also seems unlikely given the front office's apparent plans for her. Overall, there's doubt that Indiana will take the necessary steps this offseason to fully stabilize the roster for the long term. Multiple current contracts are tied directly to percentages of the salary cap, which creates ripple effects across the roster that aren't always accounted for in casual analysis. For instance, framing Caitlin Clark's cap number increase as simply following the league-wide cap growth ignores that Aaliyah Boston's own salary is set to rise by roughly $600,000 year over year. Even removing Sophie Cunningham's salary entirely and replacing it with a minimum contract player doesn't fully resolve the math. Keeping all three core pieces together would likely require both Clark and Kelsey Mitchell to take pay reductions, with the remainder of the roster filled by minimum salary players. It's a genuinely difficult situation to project, and there's low expectation that Indiana makes any roster moves in the immediate term. A trade along these lines seems more plausible happening during the offseason instead. Regarding Brink specifically, it seems unlikely she remains with the Los Angeles Sparks past this season. The Sparks may calculate that her trade value will remain similarly strong next year, and with more free agents available, and greater roster flexibility across the league next offseason, they may be able to acquire a stronger overall return in her place.